maybe ask. Hey, I think we're live.
I think we're live.
Yay! Hello.
um, we have never done a Facebook Live before,
We're doing it
so
now.
we're doing it now. Let's see if anyone joins us.
So Lisa, I think there's probably a way for you to request.
Did you want me to call her back?
Oh yeah. Let's just text her and say, ask her to request to be invited as a guest.
All right. So we have Lisa joining us, who is the director of Life After the Neverending Story. And there she is. She's watching. We look like we have a new person joining us. Hello, Shiana. Thanks for being here.
So you can put questions in the chat. We're going to try to have Lisa join us on the feed if we can. Figure that out. We've never done a Facebook Live before. We're in Liverpool. We spent the weekend in Liverpool. We're a little bit cooked. We spent a lot of time interacting with Tammy's fans this weekend.
Yeah, but also it shows that we love 80s films, and we're still in the 80s when it comes
we don't know
to
how to use
technology.
computers.
Hi,
Margaret.
Thomas.
Hi, Thomas.
Hi, Margaret.
And Shiana. Hi, everybody.
Yeah, so ask us anything. Hi, Tara. Oh, exciting. Some people are logging in.
Awesome.
This is great.
Very cool. So what we thought we'd do, this is going to be fairly short. We still have some other events that we have to attend this evening in Liverpool. But we thought we would give you a little recap of the Liverpool Comic-Con, which was awesome.
Really fun.
Crazy and fun. Strange, surreal, awesome experience. And then also tell you about more about the London premiere on June 2nd. Hopefully we'll be able to patch in Lisa Downs, the filmmaker for Life After the Neverending Story, who was with us in Comic-Con most of the weekend and madly drove like a maniac home to get on the Facebook Live from her home in southern England. We have Haley from Scotland.
Oh, look, and we have people from this weekend that we
oh,
met
that's awesome.
that have logged in.
So cool.
David, hi.
Yeah. Thanks everyone for joining us.
Oh, so here we have a question. Why Scotland?
Oh yeah, that's a good question.
And what sparked your interest in the involvement of the films?
Okay, cool. So I think we'll dive into the questions and continue to hack the technical issues, as we go.
So Haley Gordon said, why Scotland for Man and Witch? So we actually initially thought we would do Man and Witch in New York because we're New York based and we had people that we knew. It just felt like a more familiar place to kind of dive into this new project. But then when we started doing...
New York doesn't have castles.
It
doesn't have a lot of sheep. It doesn't have hovels. Like a lot of things that New York doesn't have that you need to have with a fantasy film. So we made a pretty smart decision, partly because Scotland was still open for shooting during the pandemic.
That was a big reason.
But also because Scotland is a way better place to shoot Man and Witch the Dance with
And
Thousand
it's a
Steps.
fantasy film, and you need magic. And
oh, it's Cooper's mom. That's Haley. That's why.
Oh, sorry. So yeah, and Scotland is magical. It just is. It just makes magic in the camera. You don't have to, we didn't want to do a lot of like green screen. We just wanted the real thing and real landscapes and real castles. So it was a no-brainer. Scotland was perfect.
How do we get Lisa on the feed here?
And my dad was Scottish, so I wanted to spend some time. Okay, but let's see what these other questions are. You don't have the worst weather. All right. So, we've got some people logged in from New York City. That's
nice.
Exciting.
Awesome.
So from people
South
from all
Texas.
over. South
Amazing.
Texas, fantastic.
Do you want to give them a little flavor of Liverpool this weekend, since people are logging in from around the world?
Sure, and just keep looking for questions that people are asking. So, oh my gosh, Liverpool was amazing. I got to dance salsa.
Yeah, with the Power Ranger.
With the original Power Ranger, Walter Jones. That was incredible. One of the highlights of the con.
Really nice guy.
Got to hang out with all the hobbits, who are just the nicest folks you'll ever meet.
Mm-hmm.
Got to reconnect with Sean Astin, who was the voice of the dog in our film, and that was really, really fun. Got to meet Martha Plimpton.
Yeah, Martha Plimpton from
Oh
Goonies.
my God, she's
Such a
so
cool person.
funny. And Carrie Green, also from Goonies, and the Goonies is celebrating its 40th anniversary next year. So it was just this room full of child actors from the 80s celebrating the 40th
Yeah,
anniversary.
very cool.
Very funny.
Very cool.
Um, all right, let me see. There are some blatant lies saying that I haven't changed, but I appreciate it.
This is it, Roma.
I love the Neverending Story. I love the Wizard of Oz. What makes them so special? Yeah, those. I mean, the Wizard of Oz. What a classic, right? Um, I just think that the visual effects of both of those films is what sets them apart, and the sort of artistry of going from black and white to color that the Wizard of Oz was just really at the forefront. And I think the story is front and center. Like all the magic and all the props, it's all in service of the story, as opposed to, I don't know, all the kind of bells and whistles taking over and you lose the story. And I think that's the kind of magic of filmmaking that I love. And
Yeah, I mean, for me, in a fantasy universe, Wizard of Oz is a great example. Neverending Story is a great example. The key drivers of what makes you actually interested in those universes are the characters. And both of those films, for example, have such incredibly vivid, specific, unforgettable characters. You think of something like the Rockbiter or the Tin Man. You know, these are indelible ideas that stay in our mind. So, for me, it's the characters in a fantasy world that make it live and breathe and make you feel like that world really exists. So, for sure, that's the tradition that we're hoping to live inside of. We'll see. You know, when everyone sees the film, how well we did.
isn't it also true that like the Wizard of Oz is sort of bookended, like it's a dream, like she
Yeah,
dreamt
right.
it all and comes back to reality. And with Bastion, he kind of comes back to the real world. Did he imagine the whole thing, or did it all happen? There's kind of this question of how our imaginary lives and our real lives intertwine, and sometimes our imaginary lives are more real than our real lives.
Here's a great question. Tammy, what inspired you to make Man and Witch?
Oh my gosh. So, people, everyone around me, I really feel so grateful that people still love the Neverending Story. And I started going to cons and meeting people, and everyone was like, well, when are we going to see you in another film? And when are we going to see you in another film? And I was like, how's that ever going to happen? And then my husband said, well, why don't we just make a film? And and then it was just so odd, you guys. It was like all these signs started to appear. This giant Falcor was posted on a billboard a block from my house. And then we were watching Stranger Things, and the Neverending theme song came on. And I just felt like this weird sense that like I just kept getting like nudged, like, come on, get off your butt, go do it. So it was terrifying and not, at all straightforward and simple. It was tremendous amount of problem solving and hurdles. But there's also just been this incredible outpour of support and curiosity, and so that's really sustained us when the going got tough, to just keep going. And it's done, and I can't wait to share it with you guys.
Well, I think you also always intended to come back to the big screen.
Yes, intentions. I got sucked into dance and I really loved it. And I spent so much time in that world. It didn't really seem viable to go back to the big screen. But, then you guys, I've been signing Do What You Dream for 40 years. And I really had this like guilty conscience. I was like, I can't keep signing that without at least giving it my best shot and trying to live that a little bit. So that is why.
Yeah. Any more movies lined up for 2025? So we will address that question after we release Man and Witch and find out if anyone likes the movie that we made. But sure, yes. If people resonate with the kind of storytelling that we were doing in Man and Witch and want to see more of that world or more of other kinds of worlds that we can imagine, for sure we would do more projects. We have
ideas.
support for that. So it largely depends, honestly, on whether there's an audience this summer for the film. We hope there is. We've always felt that there is. We get really good feedback about the movie when people watch it. So we think that there's an audience that wants to see specifically this kind of movie. And we'll find out. We'll find out in July. We'll find out in June when we premiered in London. If people are really feeling like it's the kind of thing they want to see more of. We hope so. Obviously, that would be kind of amazing. David, Tammy can't marry you. I'm sorry, I'm already married to her. So that's.
But thank you for asking.
Yeah, really appreciate the question. Obviously, not the first person to ask that one. Unfortunately, I got there.
Oh,
this
one's for you, babe. How long does it take to
write a movie? How long does it take to write a movie? I think it could take anywhere. Tarantino wrote Pulp Fiction in like a week. I don't know, like a weekend. I think it can take 10 years to write a movie. I think it really just depends on what's happening with the writer and the command of the story. It does take a long time to rewrite a movie. So however long it takes to write a movie, I think you're still writing the movie all the way through releasing the film. So for example, in the final sound mix at Shepperton Studios with Grumpy Cow, in the final 4 minutes, see if that's Lisa I'm trying to get on. In the final 4 minutes that we had to finish the film and have the final locked version of the film, I did a rewrite in the final 5 minutes. So I think you're always rewriting a film. It can get down. The first draft or the first couple drafts can happen really fast, or they can happen, take a long time and then go through like 47 rounds of executive control. In our case, it was really just about 6 months of the first draft for me, 5 months. And then, about a year of rewriting before we went into production.
But Greg stuck Post-it notes all over our house.
Yeah, that's how you do it.
The whole house, all the walls were covered in Post-it notes. So that's actually, fun fact, why we called our company Paper Canoe. For many reasons, because when you make a little paper canoe and slip it onto like a lake, it just has kind of like a story world quality to it, and it's such a simple thing to put a few creases into a piece of paper, and we love that kind of craft feeling, but also paper because everything in our house was Post-its. This is a great question.
Yeah, so
Bowie Spiegel.
Hi Tammy, great fan here. Do you think the movie will be able to caress the hearts like the never-ending story? Oh, I lost the question. Where'd it go? That was a good question.
It jumped from the feed.
I know.
And it said, is it going to be like an end day story, or what makes a story magical and last in people's hearts was the basic gist of the question. So it's not based on any kind of end day story, although I'm hugely inspired by Michael Ende. He's such a genius, and I think it's so interesting. Like, I was reading about him, and I heard that he was a little bit kind of not as respected by the other sort of literary figures of his time because he was working in a fantasy genre. And there was this feeling that if you were working in fantasy, you're not serious, you're not doing anything of consequence, you need to, address real world problems. And it's just so interesting because I see it so differently than that. I think that fantasy really affords us the possibility to look at real world problems, but through a new lens. And I think the reason that Ende's story is so powerful, the Neverending Story and other stories he's done, is they're actually based off of life experiences that he kind of transformed and through metaphor put inside of these kind of fantasy stories. So we really hope Man and Witch will resonate, and we think that one of the reasons it might is it is coming from our lives. I mean...
Yeah. So specifically in terms of that question of like how the material of Man and Witch might relate or not relate to the Neverending Story, I'll say just categorically, my own personal sensibility as a writer and storyteller tends to be a bit more comic than what's happening in the Neverending Story. Now, that's not to say that Man and Witch isn't a very sincere film, because it actually is. It has a really, like, a very, very strong, passionate heart. But it tends to just be a little bit goofier. And I want to share this because this is something that happened today, which was life-changing, and it happened about 40 minutes ago. I just met John Cleese at the Liverpool Comic Con in the green room for the actors, and he was signing photographs. And Monty Python was one of my major kind of influences as a kid growing up, an '80s kid. All my friends, we always quoted Monty Python films, Holy Grail, and all that. So that's that comic sensibility in a fantasy universe was something that I was always really attracted to. So Princess Bride, obviously being the most kind of canonical version of that.
The best.
So I'd say Man in Witch has like a lot of that goofiness in it, and we also tried to create something that was very, very heartfelt and sincere at the same time. You'll tell us whether we succeeded. I think we know from audiences that they both think it's funny and are moved by the film. So if we've accomplished that, I think that's what we set out to do. It's definitely a more comic film than The Neverending Story specifically, which is has a slightly more epic kind of sweep. And I'm going to transition to the next question, which is a question about the score, and will our score capture that kind of epic sweep? Because I want to talk about the score for a second.
Our score is amazing.
Jeff Sinelli, a protege of Hans Zimmer, did the score for Man in Witch. He's currently working very, very hard to get the Man in Witch score album out the door for us, which we will have in the not too near distant future. I think it's 28 tracks or something. I can't remember exactly how many. It is an absolutely phenomenal film score.
And this is a fun story. Yeah. He cold emailed us when he saw an article about us starting to work on Man in Witch. Yeah. He was one of the first emails we got, and he loved The Neverending Story.
Huge Tammy fan.
And he said, I really want to write this score. And we just couldn't
believe it.
Couldn't believe that he contacted us. And it's one of my favorite things about the film. Yeah, it's a really beautiful score. Great question.
In some ways, I hope that Man in Witch is just basically an advertisement for Jeff Sinelli's score. We'll see. I want to say that this is a slightly chaotic experience on the Facebook Live because Tammy and I have never done one of these.
We never
And I'm sure there's a good way to collect questions in the order that they're coming. If we don't get to your question tonight, I have a sense we'll probably do more of these. If people seem to be excited,
we'll definitely do more of these. Yeah, for sure.
We don't have a lot of time tonight, but we will definitely try to do more of these. I hope that you'll come back and continue this conversation with us.
Ben thinks that it's awesome, so I think we're doing
Ben thinks it's. I'm really glad. Thank you, Ben. Okay, Neverending Fantasy Con, our friend Zainab, who's producing the event in London, which is happening at the end of the month, which you must go to if you are in the UK.
So I have all these plans if you come to the booth. Normally when I go to like a Comic-Con, people already know the story. And so I'm signing a poster or a photograph from something that is beloved and known, and that's it. But obviously no one's ever seen Man in Witch. So I actually want the booth to be much more experiential. I want to let people in on the making of the film. So we'll show drafts of the poster at different stages. We'll show like a lookbook for how we came up with different sets on the film. And we'll really let people into the process of making it. And we're still building it. So if you guys have suggestions, we'd love to hear, what would you want to see at the booth? But we really just want to share the experience of making the film, answer questions, talk to people, and then hopefully if you come the next day, it's kind of more exciting because you've got backstory and art and conceptual journeys. Okay.
Someone was asking what the most challenging part of making Man in Witch was. So the usual answer to that question for independent filmmakers is just getting the financing for the film. One of the things that we were really struck by when we set out to try to do this process is we had the screenplay. We're like, let's try to make the film ourselves. And it became very clear that nobody gets to make an independent fantasy film. It's just not possible to do, largely because no one's going to put up the money. So for lots of complicated reasons that I'm not actually going to get into on this call, that was not the hardest part of making Man in Witch. We actually put the financing together in a very straightforward and fast way.
That was like one of those elbows.
It was just an enormous privilege that we had that most other people, an advantage that we had that most other people don't experience. Yeah. And
very lucky.
So in a way, that hard part that most independent filmmakers are facing was not as difficult in our case as it often is. That said, everything after that has been the most difficult thing. So the most difficult thing was finding a place to shoot, and figuring out how to shoot during a pandemic, and then finally figuring out what happens when the set blows over on Easter Sunday in Scotland, and people don't really work on Easter Sunday in Scotland, and then figuring out how to shoot during a pandemic when you have crowd scenes, and the crowds really can't be crowding.
We had to
during
keep
a crowd
people
scene.
6 feet
6 feet
apart,
yeah.
and
Yeah.
make a crowd.
So all of that was hard, and we thought making the film was hard, and then we started getting into the edit of the producer's edit of the film, and we realized actually no, editing the film is the hardest part of making the film. And then after that we realized, actually once you have a finished film, the hardest part of making an independent film is getting the film distributed. And that was really hard for about a year, and then finally the clouds parted and a lightning bolt struck, and we figured out how to get the film distributed. It's now going into theaters, which is incredibly hard to do.
Thank you,
as an independent
Fathom Events.
Yeah, thank you, Fathom Events.
Thank you.
And that has been the hardest thing. And now the hardest part of making a film, and it does feel like this. It feels like every new thing is the hardest thing. The hardest thing about making an independent fantasy film is how do you get the word out about it?
Yeah.
We're competing against Walt Disney Company's marketing, and A24's marketing, and we're just making our little movie over here, and we want people to come to see it in the theaters, and it's just incredibly hard to get the word out. So anyway, you're helping us do that by sharing the movie with your friends. Tammy's obviously doing everything she can. She's going around to fan conventions. She's doing interviews. She's really leaving it all out there. So the hardest part right now is making sure that everyone who might want to see the film has heard about it.
But I also just want to say, hard is also good, right? Like nothing worth doing isn't hard. We've learned so much, and it's I think it's just really important to also say there's been joy in it. It's been really challenging, but then when you finally unlock it, it's really satisfying. So it's like that's how you grow. So we feel really, really grateful for this crazy roller coaster ride. All right, I feel
there's a
we
couple
missed a bunch
more.
of
Yeah, there's like so many
questions.
questions. We're not going to get to everyone's questions.
We have 2.
Yeah, they're we'll talk about sequels after
Secret
people
in the
decide that they like Man and Witch.
So,
when time is right, we'll talk about sequels. Yes, there could of course be a sequels for sure. We're already thinking about that. How do we get you on my podcast? We have press reps both in the UK and the US. If you're interested in booking Tammy and I for interviews, on the website there's an email for Brigade Marketing.
That's for the US.
And in the UK, we'll put you in touch with someone named Christina Joyce, who's helping us promote the London premiere. And on that note, because it is now 26 past the hour, and we're going to actually have to wrap up this Facebook Live. I'm so sorry.
Well, do 5
in a
more
relatively
minutes till
fast. So a couple things have to happen for the next Facebook Live. One thing is we have to get Lisa Downs, the filmmaker for Life After the Neverending Story, on the Facebook Live. So she drove madly for 5 hours to get on the call, and I haven't figured out how to get her on the call. So that's terrible.
We'll
and we
do
have to
another
fix that.
one with her, but I want
But
to
her
say
film is premiering in London on May 31st, right?
Yeah, and it's a brilliant film, you guys. If you love The Neverending Story, I promise you will love Lisa Downs' film. I learned so many things that I didn't know because obviously I was 10 and I wasn't privy to a lot of the behind the scenes struggles and all the juice, all the nice history of it.
Yeah.
So it's really if you love the film, you'll learn a lot, and it's a fascinating documentary.
And we should also just shout out to the Neverending Fantasy Con, who is hosting these premieres. Right, this is an incredible gift that we've had from our colleague Zay in London. She is giving us a platform to show Man and Witch and to show Life After the Neverending Story. We're incredibly grateful. The Saturday that she has planned with all the puppeteering and everything that's happening in London is going to be just off the chain. If you're a fantasy fan, you really, really, really don't want to miss that event. And we're just thrilled to be a part of it. It was super, super, super excited to be a part of that. Tammy, you had a request to show off your merchandise shirt.
My merch. Okay, you guys, this is my Man and Witch shirt, and it's just got a little logo on the back, Man and Witch.
Tell us a little bit about the design of the shirt.
This shirt features artwork by Renato Casaro. So we have a secret poster we haven't revealed yet because it's going to be revealed at the end of the month. Oh my gosh, you guys! Renato Casaro is coming. He's 90. He's a legend. He's done 2,000 movie posters. He did the Neverending Story poster, and it's such an interesting story. He was sort of the main poster guy for so long, and he painted everything by hand. And then, of course, when everything went digital, he decided to retire at the top of his game. And sort of the movie poster world went a different way. But then his whole career was kind of revived when Quentin Tarantino reached out to him and asked him to do a bunch of posters for a movie set back in the 70s that needed painted posters. And magically, he did the Man and Witch poster. We reached out to him. We didn't know if he's still working. We didn't know if he'd be interested. And he was so delightful and so warm. And he made our poster, and I can't wait to share it with you guys at the end of the month. But for now, you get to see a little piece of it, which is Greg and I on a broom, and it's in color. I kind of made it a little like Madonna 80s.
Yeah.
A little bit retro for the merch.
Oh, I've got merch too.
Oh, yeah. Show him the hat. Here, wait. I'm going to pull it off your head.
No, but that makes my terrible haircut.
Hat hair.
I did that. That's terrible. You have to wait till my terrible haircut actually in the movie. But this is a very nice M&W. It's a very cool hat. We gave Sean Astin one of these hats this weekend.
So I just want to get back to a few of these questions. So if you guys come to the opening con that we were telling you about, I just want to share that Friday is going to be Life After the Neverending Story, and Lamal will be there, and
Awesome.
Renato Casaro.
Awesome.
So if you have like an old Neverending Story poster that you want signed, I'll sign it. Renato, I'm sure, will sign it. Maybe Lamal will sign it. I can't speak for him, but there's going to be a bunch of other Neverending Story people there too. So I really hope you come. Saturday's going to be the convention celebrating Labyrinth, Dark Crystal, Neverending Story, and our booth, which we talked about, kind of the inside makings of Man and Witch. And then Sunday, there's a medieval dinner. You don't have to go to that part if you don't want, but it'll be super fun. It's with
I'm going.
cast. I'm going. I'm going to come around to all the tables and say hi. And then we're going to the screening at the Prince Charles, and then there's an after party. And you guys, Elijah Wood, who's an amazing DJ.
That's Elijah Wood. Frodo.
Yes, Frodo Baggins.
Frodo Baggins made a playlist.
Made our playlist for the dance party. It's going to be awesome. Okay, wait, I have to answer some questions.
There's no way we're getting all the
They're coming
questions.
so fast.
I know, there's no way. We
We want to come to Texas. I'd love to work with Noah.
Yeah.
I love seeing Noah when we're at conventions together. I know it makes it better for the fans. I'm sorry he wasn't here at Liverpool with me this time.
Yeah.
We definitely try to do cons together, and it always is a lovely experience.
Oh my God,
Will
we
you
have
visit
so
Prague?
many questions.
Prague. I love Prague. Prague is one of my favorite cities in the world. And I go there a lot, and actually I very well may be doing a project there next year. Mm-hmm.
All right, cool. I think I'm actually going to, unfortunately, have
What
to
are we going to do?
wrap it up because we only have as much time as we have. This has been a lot more fun than we thought it was going to be.
We didn't know if anyone
We
would
didn't know if
sign
anyone
on.
would come or ask questions, and there's so many great questions. I don't know much about Facebook Live. I'm gonna eventually end this, and I hope that we will still have all the questions, and hopefully be able to respond to some of them, asynchronously, as we say in the technology space.
But I have a few more thoughts.
Okay.
You can buy a T-shirt through our website. We're going to open a Shopify store
Really soon.
like literally in a matter of days when I get back from the con. And I slaved over these designs. You have no idea. I was losing my mind, so it makes me so happy you asked that.
Yeah.
We'd love the movie to come to Germany. There was a question there. Obviously, Neverending Story was a really meaningful story in Germany, and I spent a lot of time there, so I would love to bring Man and Witch to Germany.
We will talk more about the Neverending Story reboot on a future call because we've had a lot of questions about that this weekend at Liverpool Comic Con. We won't answer them now, but that's a great thing to talk about. What I want to say, and Tammy will be in Oregon next week.
I'm going to meet Carrie.
Yeah.
I see she's going to be there.
All right, that's awesome.
Come say hi.
Come say hi. A couple of things as we get to the very end of this call. First of all, your enthusiasm for the film is the only thing that's really keeping us going at this point. We are really excited that people are interested in the film and give us this encouragement here online. So to the extent that it is meaningful when you say, hey, we're looking forward to it. Like, it's super, super meaningful to us. So we really appreciate you coming to the call tonight, asking the questions. If we didn't get to your question, I will try to get back and answer some of those questions. You can always go to the website and sign up for the updates on the website. That's a super useful thing to do if you have questions and stuff. You can be in touch through the website.
All right.
And
I want to do really quick, really quick. My favorite band. I can't do one, but I love David Bowie. If you can't come to the premiere, and you're in New York, you guys, we're gonna have an opening in New York.
Yeah, we'll have an opening.
So please come say hi to the opening in Manhattan of Man and Witch on July 28th.
Yeah.
And then yes, we'll look through the questions. Anything we missed, we apologize. We'll try to answer you, and we'll just do another one of these when we have a little more time and we're not rushing to another event.
That's a great idea. Oh my God, there's too many questions to answer right now, and we're supposed to be going to dinner.
Is it true that the Neverending Story reboot? Yes, we have to answer this one. There is going to be a Neverending Story reboot, and it's been given to Seesaw Films, and I'm actually really excited about it because I just think that Seesaw is the right choice. They make really high quality things. I met so many people today who said they were devastated that they were making a reboot and they should never do it. So I know people feel strongly about it. I'm sorry if you fall on that side of things, but I actually think the NDA State made a good choice with Seesaw, and I'm curious.
Yeah. People who are looking for signed photos and other kinds of merch, definitely keep your eye on the Man and Witch website. They'll eventually be an easy path from the website to get anything that you might be desiring, particularly signed stuff. Will be available there. We got some signed posters from Sean Astin today,
and we'll gather up some signs from the other cast in London. So we'll have a very limited amount of posters signed by most of the cast.
Yeah. So I think we do need to wrap it up, unfortunately. This is awesome.
We love you, and so we just want to say we love you back.
Okay. I'm saying if you're coming to the con, you can pre-order merch at neverendingfantasy.com merchandise. So there's a spot on the neverendingfantasy.com website where you can pre-order merch. I think this shirt's probably going to be available.
This shirt's on there.
I think the hat will be available on some
if you just want a Neverending Story sign thing, I have an Etsy shop, which you can always get one of those there.
Yeah. And we have some big announcements coming soon about the availability of Man and Witch in the UK beyond the London premiere. We can't say anything yet, but we're going to be saying something about that really soon. And of course, we'd love to come back to Scotland. We have some comments about coming back to Scotland. Yes, we hope that will be happening potentially late in the summer. We'll say more about that another time.
Jim, it's not just a reboot. They will add to the story. One film is a remake, and then Seesaw is supposed to use the IP to make two absolutely fresh stories. So that's that. All right, okay. My favorite childhood movie, E.T., was really high on the list. And I loved Brazil. It's so dark for for a child.
Yeah.
I don't know what that says about me. Yeah. You guys, thank you so much for your questions, and we hope to see you somewhere along the way at a con, at a premiere.
Right. Funny anecdote for the 80s kids, and then we're going to sign off. Tonight we are probably hanging out with at least a couple of the Goonies.
Yep.
And my friend Jameson Newlander, who's one of the Frog Brothers from Lost Boys that I went to university with. So it's going to be an awesome 80s-tastic weekend here in Liverpool. And we're going to go say hi to them and tell them more about Man and Witch, because they were all really excited about Man and Witch. So hopefully some of those folks will join us too down the road.
All right. Okay. Good night, everybody. Thank you so
everyone,
much
for coming. I'm so sorry this has been so frantic.
Hopefully we'll have fun. Let's do it again.
No, let's do it again.
Sounds good. We'll share more updates.
Yeah. So maybe next time in Brooklyn or some other
exotic
location,
Brooklyn.
or maybe from Oregon next week. Yeah. Okay. Bye, everybody. Thanks so much for coming.
You.
Bye. 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 Woo-hoo.